Welcome everybody to your live update and charts of the day. I hope you're good, hope you're well. Apologies for the slight delay. And of course, sometimes the tech gods don't play nice, and that was the case sort of this morning. But we're here, we're good. And thank you very much to you all for popping in and saying hi to David and Lita and Roger and Rob and Wayne. All of you are so very welcome. Um, All right, okay, let's just pop up this important message just to get things kicked off, and just to remind you that this is for educational purposes only. Please make sure that you do your own due diligence on anything you see here. Make sure you follow trading plans, of course. Make sure you manage risk on every trading action, consistent with your own personal trading objectives and financial situation. Okay, that important message shared. Let's get on to uh, the news as it is today. Just want to make sure that that's all good. Yes, we're good. So let's kick off with the headlines. Of course, overnight we saw markets higher. Continuation of good earnings are helping things along. And generally, I guess there's see progress on trade. Trump's India in the crosshairs at the moment, is also talking about 100% tariffs on imported chips unless companies are at least doing some of the production in the US. And really, that doesn't affect any of the big boys who are all already doing that. So, generally speaking, the markets are not far shy of record highs again. We'll have a look at charts in a moment. US futures are slightly higher again so far today. Markets are a bit mixed. ASX is a bit weak, down 0.1% when last I looked. European futures are pointing to a cautiously positive open. The US dollar index really has been under pressure since last Friday's jobs report, and the surge in likelihood that the Fed are going to cut rates in September. It's almost priced in completely now. Gold is challenging short-term resistance. Copper's continuing to pause after the major drop last week, which was obviously the commencement of 50% tariffs into the US. And oil, as we suggested earlier in the week, with OPEC Plus suggesting there was going to be a production hike in September, that's obviously bearish for oil if you increase supply, and that's been seen in the chart. No respite from the EIA data yesterday. Bitcoin did breach support after Friday, but since then has been stuck in a short-term range. And of course, on top of earnings and trade news, we do have some interesting data coming across the wires today. We are expecting the UK interest rate decision to drop by 0.25%. And of course, we've got US weekly jobs, which will be watched, I would suspect, slightly more closely than is the norm after last Friday's furore about what happened. So that's really the headlines behind it all. Let's go straight into some charts. I'm going to start with the S&P 500. As you can see there, that was Friday's candle. We had that bounce almost immediately, and really nice pipe formation. So pushing up towards this 6,400 on the futures contract, which is important, of course. If we look to the Nasdaq, it's looking very similar. Apart from the fact we're even closer to those record highs, big tech continue to do well, less than 100 points. Sorry, just over 100 points. About 109 points beneath that record close on the futures contract. You can see in today's trading, we're already through the highs from both yesterday, which was at that point there, and the day before, which was at that point there. So we're sort of continuing to move higher. Looks actually like quite a nice potential trade here. Should we breach this level, you can see under here. Back last week, we bimbled underneath this 24,000 level. Sorry, 23,400 level. And you can see we're challenging that right now. And then there's a fairly straight up, straight down sort of move. There you can see on the hourly chart. In fact, we had this a couple of times. So This technically is actually quite a strong potential setup, and one worth keeping an eye on throughout the day. Is the US dollar? There's that um, gradual move to the downside after last Friday's jobs report, which you can see in this candle here. And consequently, gold has done well. We're in this short-term range for this week so far, just beneath this 3380 level. And if we breach that, then we've got one, two, three, four previous resistance with an almost immediate sell-off at 3430. Two ways you can play this. There's a potential $50 move up to the upside if we breach that. Though you may be tempted to wait until it's breached the 3400 nice round number. But obviously, if we do breach this key resistance here, that could be one to keep an eye on. If we look at today, you can see there we are higher in the day. We're getting some buying coming in. There's 3390 we hit day before yesterday. That's what I'm suggesting. 3400 might be worth a look. Um, just to talk about copper for a second. There's that tariff-induced drop, and since then we've sort of been bimbling around in this range here. Um, I'll be watching this level of 432 to the downside, maybe 451 to the upside. If you're a little more aggressive, perhaps now we do have some stabilization in price, then maybe a 445 up to 450 might be worth a little nudge um, if you're feeling so inclined. Here's oil, and as I said, it breached a key support level, breached $66, which was always an interesting key level. We are slightly higher today, suggesting that this isn't the start of a major sell-off for right now, but the fact we're beneath the 200 MA, the fact we're beneath $66 is all relevant. Next level to the downside to keep an eye on, should we do sell off anymore, is probably around about this 64 level, just beneath that. So there's about $1 in that should we get a sell-off, but as I said, looking higher today. Just watch for a breach of yesterday's low. So I'm not convinced about oil being a good place. Bitcoin recovering slightly after last week's drop. And at this stage, I wouldn't be jumping up and down about Bitcoin until we get a move back over 11,600. Then it might sort of interest. Sorry, 116,000. Then it might interest for a move back up potentially to around about 120. So the major asset classes, I'm liking the Nasdaq the best of all. I think that technically is setting up very nicely, although as we are quite a way through the Asian session now, it's probably we'll probably see the major action on European Open um, in a few hours' time. Looking at some of the US dollar crosses, the yen's a bit weak today as well. So it's not just the US that's not doing so well, but there's that US drop, sort of in a range on the daily chart between around about 147.50 to the upside. Possible move up around about 30 pips, but this doesn't excite me at all in terms of a chart. It just looks choppy. Um, yeah, so if we look at the other yen crosses, perhaps as a source of potential. We talked the Aussie yen yesterday, and we did get a breach this morning of that 95.78 we talked about yesterday. Now we're challenging 96, and now this is technically looking very interesting. Why is it looking interesting? Because this is a key level on all time frames. You can see on the 4-hourly chart, lots of price consolidation around this previously. So I'm liking this if we should get a move up. We've just had a pullback at this stage. But potentially there's a 30 pip move up in the first instance to test 96.30. That looks like a fairly clear trade. Also of interest is the GB pound yen, but again, it's not pushed through. So I'm wondering whether that maybe isn't one just to sort of see how it opens this afternoon. Maybe a bit of caution coming in because of that UK interest rate. So perhaps watching the euro Japanese yen is maybe a better trade. You can see there we've pushed up to a key level. Was support back here. on the 31st and the 1st, respectively, at 172. Really nice round number, 25 pips um, to the next key level. But really, if we look at the 4 hourly chart, the high probability trade is possibly a move over that 172.25. So I quite like that as well. Um, if we just pop it on the hourly chart, you'll see this in a little more detail. If I just take that out a little bit, there we go. So possible move up towards 172.61 is on the cards. So that would be my, if you like, my backup at this stage. I'm liking the Aussie yen on the hourly chart for a short-term kill, but the euro yen is looking very interesting up to, as I said, that 172.61. So those are my two charts to keep an eye on. 1 second. So, um, sorry about that. I just had to make sure phones were off so you didn't get disturbed. Right, okay. ASX. There was a couple I was looking at. A couple we were looking at earlier in the week. Oh, I see. Just continues to power up now through $12. This was a chart of the day. Back here and back here. So this just, if you're in this, well done. Looking continually good. 360 ASX was another one that I was looking at. Watch this for a breach of 40.23. And I suspect this is record highs for this stock, but I'm just I think this is just such a good stock. I just want to double check. Give me a second. I just want to double check if these guys are or have reported. 11th of August. Okay, so just be careful. Yeah, 11th of August 2025 is what I'm getting from yahoo.com and investing.com Australia. So yeah, just be a little cautious with that. I'd probably wait now. So, what else did we look at? We had a look at I had a look at BVS this morning, which sort of caught my eye. But then I sort of thought, oh, maybe it's having a really good week. Possible move up to 245, but I'm not convinced of that, to be honest. Just going to cheat a little bit. WGX and the gold space, all the gold stocks doing well. Nice reversal. WGX back through the 200 MA. Really nice move up to 292 in today's trading possible. I may probably wait until there's a breach of $3 on this. We were looking at uranium stocks, which are bouncing quite nicely, but it's failed to follow through on today's early action. This level here was interesting just because of previous price action around about 655. So we shot above that and then we pulled back down again. So I'm not jumping up and down about that. If you like your cows, then possibly just make sure we've got all the data. There we go. Double AC, Australian agricultural is 143 to the ups. Is the resistance on this? After this retracement, we're retesting that again. Possible move up to 148. So 3% maybe best at best. Not jumping up and down about that because of that. NYC covered. Just wanted to check in on Megaport. So Megaport, one we looked at last week, we're looking for a breach of 1466. You can see it's done that with a vengeance already. There's the monthly chart. So loads of upside in this, possibly up to around about 17.5, $18. So I'm going to make this um, my chart of the day for the ASX. Into the US, PHM, we were watching. This was my chart of the day the other day, how in the home builder stock. Um, Obviously, the increased chance of a rate cut has done these home builders very well. So there's PulteGroup looking great. Um, eBay are worth keeping an eye on. I just want to get the latest data on this. I did see this the other day. They reported well, as you can see from these candles, just pausing there beneath 93 or just around about $93. Move up to 100 looks on the cards for eBay. This, of course, is all-time highs for this stock. So keep an eye on that. I think that has legs. And then the usual suspects, obviously continuing to do well. Going to pop on Microsoft, just pulled back a little bit there. MU on that semiconductor news looks as though it's having a good extending hours day to day. Just keep an eye on that level there for a potential move at 115, for a potential move to 125. Let's have a look at AMD as well and see how that's cooking. Yeah, all these stocks had a fairly significant pullback, but they've done. AMD's yet to recover possibly too early for AMD. And let's check in on video, which were after their pullback and now at the top of the range. I'm going to make NVIDIA my chart of the day. I still think this is a $200 stock in the not too distant future. Watch for a move above 180, 182, 183 for a potential move up to 200 in the medium term. So there is some stuff. I hope that's giving you some things to think about, some things to have a look at. If there's anything that you want me to check in at, so you can trade, Michael. You can trade on US CFDs, US stock CFDs. So sorry, I've just seen your comment there, Michael. Apologies for that. So what we do in these sessions on Monday and Thursday is just look, just look at around the major asset classes, and then a little bit of FX. Quick check in on the ASX and pick a chart of the day for there and also for the US. Yeah, yeah, I reported that earlier in the session. It is only putting 100% tariffs on chip companies if they're not um, developing something in the US, which most of the big tech companies are. So Apple are, Nvidia are. Um, so they're, for example, they're exempt from that. What I'll do is I'll just um, there is a I'll give you a I'll just post a link in from CNBC that I was reading before we kicked off into the chat area there, Mike. Go and have a read of this, guys. Um, and that sort of talks about exemption. No worries at all, Roger. That sort of talks about who's exempt from this. But yes, absolutely. He's been he's desperate to get manufacturing obviously back into the US. That's his rationale for doing most of this. Whether it works or not, the jury's obviously still out. But no worries. You're welcome, David. Anyway, guys, I hope that's been useful. Let's just quickly flick through the charts that we had a look at today. So NVIDIA for the US, Megaport for the ASX. I like the Aussie yen if we breach 96, or the euro yen if we breach 172. Although I liked 360 ASX, or we have got earnings on the ASX, and oops, and just LYC rare earths companies continues to go up and up. And on the major asset classes, probably the one I thought was most interesting was the Nasdaq trading just beneath this 23,400 with a straight up, straight down move. Last time was here. May not move until may not move until this afternoon until we get the European markets open at this stage. Those are your charts of the day. Take care of yourselves. Trade safe. We'll see you again very soon. Yeah, I agree, Roger. It will take years. You guys take care. See you soon. Bye bye for now.